If California secedes from the US, it'll solve a good portion of our country's water and drought problems.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
How could this have happened? How could Donald Trump win the election? How are there still so many racist, sexist, ableist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, bigot voters in this country that Trump could get elected president? We just went through 8 years of social progress towards total equality, having elected and re-elected our first black president, and now our country has taken 5 steps backwards. And you wonder how Trump got elected president. When the prevailing narrative is that it doesn't matter whether or not you're actually racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, but that if you voted for Trump, or voted third party helping Trump win, or didn't vote at all, or anything that wasn't voting for Hillary Clinton, then you helped to support racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic principles, and therefore are a bigot yourself. When the option of opening a conversation or debate closes altogether, and any opposing ideas are instantly categorized under a negative default label, well then of course Donald Trump is going to win the election. Because the left gave up any reasonable candidate. They gave up and turned their backs on Bernie, who had the best chance of winning, and replaced him with Hillary Clinton. Because there was no doubt in their mind that Clinton would defeat Trump. They said, why not? Trump is going to lose anyways, so let's just put up our career politician instead, with a track record of corruption and lying to the American people, but who will most certainly support our corporate interests, whose plan for foreign relations involves a heavy chance of World War III against fucking Russia. Plus, she'll be our first female president, so only sexists wouldn't vote for her, right? And if all else fails, she'll at least be considered the lesser of two evils. This was the left giving up on even attempting to offer a persuasive argument to gain voters, and it fucking failed. Because voting for the lesser of two evils is still a vote for evil, and people saw right through that false label claiming that everyone who voted for Trump is a racist and a sexist. Sure, some of them are. But how delusional to think that the only reason they didn't vote for Hillary was because she's a woman, and not that she offered no real prospect of change. Instead, offering the exact opposite by ensuring a continuation of the corrupt system which values financial backers over the interest of its own citizens, which stood for nothing more than securing the idea of same shit, different administration. And at least Trump was offering, scary as it may be, some sort of deviation from the pattern of career politicians, ensuring that more career politicians stay in power and further strengthen a government which has continuously and increasingly disenfranchised its own people. So then to label the huge percentage of Americans who voted against Clinton as simply being bigots, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Offer up a better platform. Offer up the option for discussion and reasonable conversation in which to persuade disgruntled citizens why you deserve their vote, instead of using petty shame tactics to cast a blanket label on anyone who might even dare considering voting otherwise. To label potential voters as racist, sexist, homophobes, Islamophobes, and just a basket of deplorables altogether. Did they think that that was going to convince anyone over to their side? Did they think that by closing any and all debate and saying that if you aren't 100% with us, then you're one of them, and they are pieces of fucking shit, would somehow win support, rather than further alienate a demographic of voters who don't see the world as black and white as you're telling them that it absolutely is? Because by enforcing the idea that opposing views are undeniably unacceptable, you close any option for conversation, leaving a large number of citizens in silence, too ashamed to speak out, too embarrassed to admit that, hey, I have a different opinion. And so they keep their opinions to themselves, rather than face the public ridicule engineered to shut up opposition. And so whenever you hear an actual racist, an actual sexist, an actual outspoken fanatical bigot on the right scream out something like, "Fuck yeah, Donald Trump, build that wall," it cuts right through the invisible numbers of reasonable silent voters and creates a false perception that all Trump voters must agree with those bigoted ideas, because those people are the only ones who fit our perception of the right. See, this age of outrage culture has become cancerous, where people skip having a dialogue and jump straight to, seriously? Do I really have to explain why you're wrong? Yes you do, or at least try to. At least try to help others understand your views, and in turn, try to understand theirs, rather than casting them aside and assuming their intentions and beliefs. It is exactly that cancerous culture, lacking in debate, that encouraged so many people on the right and the left to vote against the party which ran on the ideas of silencing rather than listening. This election has been dirty. It's flipped the political spectrum upside down, leaving everyone confused and scrambling to find where they fall into place. It has diminished the idea of debating issues and having a conversation, down to creating a platform to preach bigotry, or even the right disregarding the left-leaning ideas as simply an attack on their freedom of speech. It's easy to pass off opposing views as ignorant and evil. It's easy to say that the right are nothing more than vile bigots, or that the left are bent on stripping away your rights. It's easy to put your fingers in your ears and scream, "I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong," until the election is over. But as we've seen, it just doesn't work. Bullying people into agreeing with you doesn't work anymore. Open dialogue and debate will. Being persuasive will. But shaming the opposition by assuming the worst in them has only shown to fail. Listen, I'm no political analyst, I just make stupid YouTube videos. We are now living in the age of outrage. The age of the millennials, a generation raised by overly protective parents who sheltered their children from the harsh realities of the world.